You mentioned breaking boards, and I had a flashback. In 1982, I went to something called Super Camp in California, and a very young Tony Robbins taught me how to break a board with my hand. And that was my first experience. I'm from San Diego. I think my mom had done the firewalk experience with him. But that's like the one and only time I think I've met him. It was like a 7-8 day camp where they taught us how to speed read and all this crazy stuff. But what's your relationship and experience been with Tony over the years?
Well, first of all, I'm a massive fan of Super Camp.
Is it still a thing?
Oh, it's still a thing.
Is it really? Okay, I didn't know. It was really crazy. My mom was into these really revolutionary ideas, but I think it was like 10 days. Yeah, I was really young. Yeah,
it's really phenomenal. I've had a really interesting history with Tony. When I was about 18 or so, 19 years old, my boss had clearly had a problem with insomnia because he was watching one of Tony's infomercials and bought Tony's personal power tapes. And they sat beautifully in the cupboard of his office. And I don't know, they ever got out the plastic, I don't know. But one day I said, can I borrow them? I was doing, door-to-door sales. So we're driving all the time. I said, can I just listen to them in the car? And so I started listening to them, and they had a real impact on me. They had a measurable impact on me.
They're amazing.
They were incredible.
They still are today.
Really, they're still, yeah. And so some couple, 2-3 years later, a friend of mine called me and he goes, hey, look, Tony Robbins is coming to Vancouver and I, want to come see him live. And I'm like, yeah, that'd be great. So I come to Vancouver to go see him live. And he does this event called Strategic Influence. It was a 1-day introductory event. And truthfully, I thought it was good, but it didn't blow my mind the way that tape series had done. But the very next day, I found out why I had been at the event. They were using the event as a lead generation. Like, you go to see Tony live and then you're on the list and they can call you. So then they call me and go, you got to come to this 3-day Tony Robbins seminar. It's like $1,500. And I'm like, I'm not spending, it's 30 years ago, right? I'm not spending $1,500 on a weekend with Tony. And he goes, oh no, Tony won't be there. It'll be on tape. There'll be a facilitator. I'm just spend $1,500 to watch a tape of Tony Robbins. Like, this is insane. The guy says to me, there's a money back guarantee. And I looked at it and I said, all right, well, look, I know at this point I'm in professional sales and I know exactly how much money I'm going to make. I'm on commission. And I said, fine, I know my track for the year. If I make an extra $1,500 this year, I won't ask for my money back. There's 3 months left in the year. The guy goes, the money back guarantee doesn't work like that. And I go, it's the only way I'm going to buy. And so Tim says to me, all right, you can do that. But if you ask for your money back, you can't tell them that's why. You just have to say you're not satisfied. You can't tell them that criteria. And I said, done. I sign up and I go. And of course, it was super transformative. It was really powerful. But fascinatingly, on the third day, there was this section on food. Tony started talking about food, and he started talking about the food industry and pharma and saying some things back then that were brand new and novel to me. I mean, and I think brand new and novel in many ways. He had been working with Harvey and Marilyn Diamond on the Fit for Life project. And so that's what started my food journey. I was sick. I was overweight. I had terrible acne. I had horrible allergies. I had digestive problems that made eating just about impossible at times. 30 days later, I was 35 pounds down. I was acne-free. I had no symptoms. I was off all my medications. And that actually is what started my whole, that moment is what started me in this whole space. But strangely, about, I guess it's now 13 or 14 years ago, I got a phone call from Tony Robbins' office. And it was from a friend of mine that worked there. And he goes, hey, Tony would like you to come and teach business at his business mastery seminars. And I really thought this is a wind-up. Like, they can't be real. I'm not even a speaker at that point. Like, I've been running a film studio. I haven't been on stage for 3 years. Why would they be calling me? It turns out that what happened is that the speaker who was scheduled to book, Chet Holmes, had passed away. He was a good friend of mine. And he'd passed away 11 days shy of the event he was supposed to speak at. And they couldn't find anybody. And they'd gone through the entire list of everybody that they could think of. And the only reason, and so I said to Mitch, who called me, I go, Mitch, Tony doesn't want me to come. You want me to go because you want me to represent this content. And if I say yes, you're going to call Tony and you're going to beg him to let me go. That's what's really going on here, isn't it? And there's a bit of silence and Mitch goes, yeah, but I can convince him. And so I said yes. And he convinced Tony and I flew to Fiji 11 days later. And Tony was unbelievably gracious. He just took such good care of me. He and I hit it off. And he then booked me for a year of business mastery events. And I consider it a real honor that the entire time I was with him, I was the only one that followed him on stage. They put me on after Tony every time because I had figured out how to hold the audience. And that's not the easiest project in the world. In fact, one day, this is cool, here in London, it's such a silly story, but I was due to come and speak and I was going to be following Tony. And then I got a promoter calling me and saying, hey, we noticed you're in London. could you speak at our event? We want you to follow Bill Clinton. Following Bill Clinton, that's another big interesting project, right? But generally when a producer brings you into the country, you kind of have to be careful about accepting other gigs, right? Especially big gigs like that. So I wrote to Tony and I go, look, I got invited to do this other gig. Is that okay with you? And he goes, yeah, no problem. It's all good. Then I remembered afterward that Tony and Bill knew each other. And so I contacted him with, hey, there's the gala dinner that Bill Clinton's going to be at. Can I invite Tony Robbins? So they said yes. So I write to Tony, hey, you want to come have dinner with Bill Clinton? So I go to do my event. I go to do the event, and then I'm on, and then my time keeps getting pushed and pushed. So Bill's time keeps getting pushed, and now I'm going to be on stage, and the dinner's happening. So Tony goes to the dinner. Bill Clinton's there. Tony's texting me, going, "Where are you?" I'm on stage, and I missed the dinner. So, but Tony was unbelievably good to me. It was such an interesting experience to have been very influenced by him as a kid, and then to actually get to work with him later in life. It was a real honor.
Does the Netflix movie "I'm Not Your Guru" give a pretty good snapshot of what it's like to be behind the scenes?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Sorry. You know what? Let me say that again. I'm Your Guru more so. I was thinking of the TV series they made before. I didn't think that did, but no, I Am Your Guru. I think so. Yeah. I mean, look, you and I were talking about Prime Minister Rishi earlier. I had the privilege of meeting him over a lunch the other day, and what really struck me about him was, and I'm not in the UK politics game, so I don't have a vote in the race, but what struck me about him is that the guy that I see up on the press conference and the guy that I saw having lunch was very much the same guy. And I think we value that a lot. And what I would say is that in my experience, Tony is very much the guy that you see up on the stage. That's not to say that he, like you or me or anybody else, can have moments or have a temper or what have you, but he is genuinely big-hearted, generous. He's just been a massive influence for me. So I have a lot of respect.
So Jim Rickards has just recorded a video that's not available to anyone in the public, and he's going to be talking about how this upcoming recession is going to be fast, it's going to be bloody, it's going to be nasty. But at the same time, he's going to show you how you can position yourself to profit from all of this chaos. Now, we've made this video only available to our viewers. Go to londonreal.tv/Jim. Watch that immediately. I can't say enough good things about Jim Rickards. He understands the global economic system better than any guest I've ever had on London Real. His predictions are almost uncannily true, and you can learn how to profit from his vision, from his expertise, and his understanding of economics. So go to londonreal.tv/Jim or click the link below. It's an excellent, excellent look on what's going to happen in the future and how you can position yourself to profit from that. Jim is one of the best in the business, one of my favorite guests on London Real, and he's very, very good at predicting the future and showing us all to profit from it. So click the link, and I hope you enjoy. Hey, it's Brian Rose, founder of the DeFi Academy. I've told you my 4-week crypto bootcamp is amazing, but don't take my word for it. This is what my students are saying.
The DeFi Academy was an amazing experience for me. It took me totally out of my comfort zone.
In this course, I was challenged, I was held accountable, and pushed to do things that honestly weren't always easy.
It's been phenomenal, and I can't believe we're already up on our 4 weeks. It has flown by.
Going through this DeFi accelerator by far was one of the best courses I've taken.
You do this course, you really get into the nitty-gritty of the activities that will make you comfortable with decentralized finance.
Thank you so much to Brian and everyone at London Real and the DeFi Academy for even putting together an amazing course like this.
Anybody else that wants to do it, please sign up. It is well worth the money.